Rooney backs Carrick, Man City hunt Arsenal, and can Tudor save Spurs? The overlap fan debate, 99 minutes. A Tottenham fan admitted on camera that he wakes up at 4 a.m. thinking about relegation. That is not a joke. Tottenham Hotspur, a club that was in the Champions League final just a few years ago, has a supporter base genuinely terrified about going down. And that is just the appetizer for what turned into one of the most heated Premier League debates of the season. Wayne Rooney joined the panel this week alongside loyal fans from each club, and three massive stories dominated the conversation: the managerial chaos at Spurs and Forest, Arsenal's title credentials under pressure, and whether Liverpool and Palace are sleepwalking into crises. 5 clubs, 5 problems, one common theme. The power struggle between managers, sporting directors, and owners is tearing English football apart. Section 1. Tottenham's relegation nightmare is real. The Spurs section opened with the sacking of Thomas Frank, and the fans' diagnosis was damning. From the very first press conference where Frank said the one thing he could guarantee was that they would lose games, Spurs supporters knew this was the wrong fit. The North London derby at the Emirates was the breaking point, where Frank set up like a League One side and still lost 4-1. But the deeper problem, as the fan explained with genuine frustration, is that nobody knows who is running the football club anymore. Daniel Levy, the institution who defined Tottenham for 25 years, is gone. Venaresh came in for a different role and is now essentially doing what Levy did. 2 sporting directors were hired in the summer and one has already left. There is no director of football. Wayne Rooney offered an insight from his managerial experience that cut to the heart of the issue. He said the best managers, citing Sir Alex Ferguson as the gold standard, have to lie. They have to say things they do not believe if it helps the players. Frank and Pochettino before him were too honest with the media, and it destroyed the dressing room confidence. As Rooney put it, you give the press a little bit, but not all of it. The interim appointment of Edge Tudor raised eyebrows. Nobody on the panel had heard of him, but his track record in Italy is exclusively about short-term crisis management, saving UV from missing Champions League qualification, rescuing Udinese from relegation in 2018. The Spurs fan, when pressed, admitted he would take Tudor over Sam Allardyce despite knowing nothing about him, simply because Tudor managed Juventus. This led to a spirited defense of the old-school English managers, with Rooney pointing out that Allardyce was actually one of the most statistically sophisticated managers he ever worked with, going through everything from referee tendencies to what minute they are likely to give yellow cards. Section 2. Nottingham Forest's £200 million mess. Forest have now had 4 managers in one season. That is a record nobody wants. The fan was swimming against the tide of Forest supporter opinion by arguing that sacking Sean Dyche was a mistake. Her reasoning was blunt: attractive football is winning. I do not care how ugly it is. I do not care how slow it is. If we win, I am happy as a fan. Under Dyche, Forest's defensive stability improved dramatically, and points per game rose from 0.63 to 1.22. But the fans wanted better football, and the board obliged by replacing him. The fan directed her fury at sporting director Edu, who she believes is the common denominator in Forest's collapse. When Nuno had the team playing well and qualifying for Europe, Edu overruled his transfer targets and brought in his own big names that did not match the tactical system. The specific example was telling. Nuno wanted Traoré, who would have fit the counter-attacking system perfectly. Edu said no and spent £200 million on players who prefer possession football, creating a squad at war with itself tactically. The fan made a powerful point. How many managers do we have to go through before we accept the common denominator? The answer is clearly Edu, but the panel noted that fans are insulating owner Marinakis from criticism because of what he did for the club in 2017 when they were heading toward League One. Nuno Pereira was named as the likely permanent appointment, and the mood was nervous, rather than optimistic. Section 3. Arsenal are 4 points clear and still terrified. The Arsenal segment revealed the psychology of a fan base scarred by recent near misses. 4 points clear at the top with 12 games to go, and the fan openly admitted he is scared. The PTSD from 2022-23 and 2023-24, when Arsenal led the title race and were caught, is palpable. Wayne Rooney dropped a tactical observation that sparked real debate. He said he does not think Arsenal have an absolute superstar in the front 4 or 5. A couple of years ago, he thought Saka and Odegaard were going to become the best player in the league, the kind of dominant force that Rooney himself was for Manchester United, or that Salah was for Liverpool. That has not happened. The Arsenal fan pushed back, saying quality is not the concern, mentality is. Nobody doubts that the starting 11 is borderline world-class on their day. The question is whether they have the winning mentality that Manchester City have demonstrated over multiple title defenses. He acknowledged that Man City's mentality is proven, while Arsenal's remains theoretical. The conversation shifted to Erling Haaland, and this was the most technically fascinating exchange. Rooney said he has always felt there is more in Haaland physically, but that he never quite dominates elite centre-backs in the biggest games. Against Van Dijk at Anfield, against Rudiger in Champions League semi-finals, Haaland never comes out on top the way Drogba used to physically destroy defenders. The Chelsea fan jumped in with a cutting observation. Haaland swerved the penalty in an FA Cup final. The panel agreed that while Haaland is a ruthless goal scorer, he is a fundamentally different player from the great physical strikers. Rooney specifically wished he would use his physique more aggressively, knocking people out of the way rather than waiting for chances. Section 4. Liverpool's identity crisis. The Liverpool section was surprisingly nuanced. The fan made a case that Arne Slot is on an audition for the rest of the season, which is a surreal position for a manager who won the Premier League just months ago. The squad has been weakened by the departures and decline of key players. Salah and Van Dijk have both lost a yard, Trent is missing, Diaz was sold and not replaced, and Nunez is gone. Rooney's assessment was diplomatic but revealing. He said Slot just does not have that aura. Coming after Jurgen Klopp makes it almost impossible to have the same gravitational pull, but Rooney specifically said it matters. There is a feeling among Liverpool supporters, and Wayne seemed to share it, that if Slot does not make the top 5, he will be gone. The conversation about Xabi Alonso as a potential replacement was interesting, because the Liverpool fan was not sold on it, noting that Slot has already beaten Alonso twice, and Alonso reportedly turned down the job when it was first offered. Section 5. Crystal Palace and the lame duck manager problem. The Palace section introduced a problem that applies far beyond one club. Oliver Glasner told the club in October that he would not be there at the end of the season. The club decided not to sack him, either to smooth the transition or because they did not have a replacement ready. Now they are stuck with a manager who has won one of the last 13 matches and a squad that, according to the fan, cannot be motivated by someone who has already checked out. The fan made it visceral. Imagine going into the dressing room at halftime after conceding 3 goals in 7 minutes against Burnley. The manager is giving you a rollicking. You are thinking, you are not my manager in 3 months. The professional respect evaporates. This is a human problem, not a tactical one. Wayne Rooney agreed and shared from experience that the dynamic between a departing manager and players is almost impossible to sustain. The fans' frustration was simple and powerful. I want my manager to want to be my manager. If that was happening at Liverpool or Arsenal, their feet would not touch the floor. Section 6. The sporting director problem destroying English football. Threading through every club discussion was the same structural issue. Modern football has separated the roles of manager and business, creating head coaches rather than managers. The result, as multiple fans and Rooney himself argued, is a system where sporting directors sit between the owner and the manager, slowly edging toward the owner when things go wrong. At Forest, Edu is overruling the manager's transfer wishes and building squads that do not match the tactical system. At Spurs, the removal of Levy has left a power vacuum with no clear leadership. At Liverpool, the head coach model means Slot is losing players he does not want to lose. At Palace, a lame duck manager cannot be replaced because the structure does not allow for it. Rooney's position was clear. Let the business be done by the businessman, but let the football and recruitment be done by the manager. The head coach model, imported from continental Europe, is not working in England because the scrutiny and media pressure are so much more intense. Key takeaways. Tottenham appointed a crisis manager nobody had heard of, and a fan wakes up at 4 a.m. worried about relegation. The club has no clear leadership structure. Nottingham Forest spent £200 million and have had 4 managers in one season. The sporting director, not the managers, is the common denominator. Arsenal are 4 points clear but psychologically haunted by previous collapses. Wayne Rooney does not think they have a genuine superstar in attack. Liverpool's title-winning manager is on an audition for his own job because of squad decline and the impossible shadow of Klopp. The head coach model and sporting director structure is causing the same dysfunction at 5 different Premier League clubs simultaneously. Erling Haaland is a ruthless scorer, but Wayne Rooney believes he should be physically dominating defenders the way Drogba did, and that there is more in him.